Welcome to Put That Coffee Down, the freight sales show for closers. My name is Kevin Hill. I'm your host. Today we're going to do part 2 of my interview with Bill Priestley, our very own producer here at FreightWavesTV. Bill and I talk about, using broadcast TV, using podcasting to get your name out there, get your company name out there, how powerful it is and exponentially for sales. And we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts of being on camera, what we're looking for, what makes a great guest, and what makes not so great guest. So tune in. The interview is coming up right now.
I got friends only wanna talk business. I got expensive cause winning's expensive. I got expensive cause winning's expensive. I've been reading all the war, and I've been shutting down the stars.
So let's talk about content for a little bit.
Okay.
Content, I think we talked about it a little bit, at the beginning, a few minutes ago, really. Because content, you want to be natural, you want to be relaxed, you want to tell a couple jokes, not tell a couple jokes, but a little bit of a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be engaging. I mean, that's you don't want to be a robot. People can see you read. You were talking about reading a while ago.
No.
People can hear you reading, and people can see you reading.
Yeah.
You're not going to get away with it.
So one thing you want to be is prepared. That is absolutely sure. You want to be prepared for whatever's coming. I've got a clip. But
you don't want to be overly prepared.
No, you don't want to be overly prepared, but you do want to have a good idea of what you're talking about. Now, I used to be a play-by-play announcer, and this is a shot here of a site board that I used before a game. In other words, that's a lot of research. I mean, I'm going to be on the air for 2.5 hours. And so I've got to be able to basically put in context what's going on and have the information about each player that I need at any given point.
At your fingertips,
basically at your fingertips, yeah. When you wonder how fast they do those things, they've got massive cheat sheets in front of them, and this is the one that I used several years ago. When you come on the air on FreightWaves Now or on any program, in order to sound good, be prepared. I mean, understand that there's going to be a topic. We're already going to agree on a topic that we're going to talk about. Know the topic. Well, yeah. And as well as you possibly can. And I mean, to the point that the best guests not only know their topic, but know their topic expertly, and I mean expertly well. One of our best guests that we have is, that we've had on FreightWaves Now, is Sal Mercogliano. And he never ceases to blow me away with what he knows. And I think, Sal, we're just going to talk about the situation with ports on East Coast and West Coast. And he came in, and without fail, every single time he tells me something I had no clue, not only that he knew, but that was part of this entire discussion that we were having about port congestion. So when you have those situations, I mean, that is something that really, gives us a true sense that you're the expert. If you can tell us something we don't know, that's memorable for us too. So that gives us an opportunity to probe even further. If you want to jump off and go into a direction we're not aware exists, but is valuable to the conversation, we're going to go there. And so that makes you much more intriguing as a guest, because you've told us things that perhaps no other media outlet or perhaps no one else close to the situation may necessarily know, at least in this building.
Yeah, because we're asking questions. We do not know the answers.
Right.
And once we hear a really good answer that strikes our curiosity, we want to follow that.
Yeah.
And so what you might have wanted to talk about doesn't get talked about because we're going to go down a different direction. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
No. And to your point, that's, when you get that go down that rabbit hole that you've got, and you say, oh, well, I didn't know this was possible. And then, all right, quickly, get your fishing rod out, get it back in and say, all right, here's where we need to go next. Because we have to stay on track, and generally speaking, as far as we're concerned as interview writers, we're trying to get from point A to point B. We're trying to get from a place of not knowing or ignorance to a place of knowing. And we're trying to get from here's what we know to here's where we can go with what we know after this interview. The question is designed to fill the gap. Here's what we don't know. Here's what we could know. You get us over there. You're the guest that gets us to what we need to know.
It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
It really is. So, I mean, you want to be prepared, but not over-prepared.
I would say you want to be prepared to go in any direction.
You're always much more prepared than I am.
Yeah, you want to be prepared to the point that you understand the question. If you understand the question and the context in which it comes from, then you can give the right answer. If you're an expert, a real bona fide expert, as Sal is, and you can, and I'll use him as an example, but he's a good friend, and I'll pick on him. But if you're able to discern that the question is asked in the wrong context, then you can come on and say, well, are you sure you mean this? Because this, and you got to clarify the direction of that.
Well, so it's like a normal conversation.
Right, yeah. You want to make sure you understand what you're talking about here. So you want to be prepared, but you don't want to be scripted. That's the opposite of what we want. We want you to be able to take it in whatever direction you can possibly could take it that will be of the greatest value to the audience person. In other words, and this is, you were talking about what makes you look good on air in terms of content. I give people 2 rules about what it is that they need to be concerned about when they're on camera or they're in front of a microphone. Number 1, don't think that you are talking to 20 million people. Because you're not. I
was about to add, because you have great advice for this, let's hear.
So don't think like you're talking to 20 million people, because you're not. And if we could throw the shot of the set up one more time, this is it, folks. There's nobody else in the room. Kevin and I are here by ourselves.
Yes,
we are here by ourselves. There's nobody else. So my first job back in Manchester, Tennessee, as a DJ, I was in did the afternoon drive, and I was doing the afternoon drive, and I realized for just a second that people were listening, and I got mic fright for the first time in my entire life. And the way I got through mic fright was that I realized I was sitting in an 8-foot by 8-foot room with nobody else talking into a piece of metal, which is categorically insane. If you're, because that's what it is. So realize that you're not talking to everyone, but realize that you are talking, and you should convince yourself of this. Talk to the one person that needs to hear what you have to say the most, because then that's a neat little broadcasting trick. I heard this actually originally from Ronald Reagan, who of course was a broadcaster before he was president. And he would say that if you broadcast to one person, and this trick has worked for everybody. If you broadcast to one person, everybody thinks you're broadcasting to them. Everybody thinks you're broadcasting to them. That's how Vin Scully and all these great reporters and announcers have basically transcended this entire thing. There we go. There you go. So there you got another shot. It's just the 2 of us, and actually one of our directors doing a nice slow zoom here for us.
Yeah, I came out of the control room and doing this.
And this is it. And this is, it sounds insane. We're talking to ourselves and 3 cameras, which are literally pieces of metal that are transmitted through a cord back to the control room, and
that we can barely see.
There. Yeah. So that's the environment that we're living in here, and that's the environment you have to take it at, because again, I'm talking to you as one person. I've got one person in my mind that I'm actually talking to. It's not necessarily Kevin, but it's someone that I think needs to know what I have to say. Second rule, real quick, is if you're nervous about it, if you're still nervous about the idea of being on camera or in front of a microphone, I would tell you this. Imagine you're a weather person in Wilmington, North Carolina, and a hurricane is coming. Here's a fact of life, and it's a horrible one for broadcasters. Nobody cares who the weather person is when a hurricane is coming. All they care about is give me where it is, where it's going, and when it's going to get there. Other than that, nobody cares. That's it. As long as you're truthful in that, the messenger is nothing compared to the message that you're delivering. So while I'm trying to give you the best advice that I can as a broadcaster, I'm not worried necessarily about, how I sound necessarily, or how I look, or I'm being self-conscientious, or I'm not worried about my image necessarily. I mean, I've done these things beforehand, and I've kind of, paid attention to them. But as I'm sitting here, I'm doing whatever it takes to get to that person that needs to know what I have to say, and I'm giving them that message. And that's my number one goal. I'm not talking to anybody else. And again, I'm talking to that one person out there that needs to know what I have to say.
And a good stepping stone is that talk to whoever you're talking to.
Yeah.
We were talking together.
Yeah.
Right? You do want to focus on that one person out there that needs to hear this information. Yeah. But, you know, as a stepping stone, as a first step,
sure,
I'm talking to Bill.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Bill. We were sitting out in the hall earlier. It's simple.
It's simple. And it's not, it's something that you can practice. It's something that it's, I mean, it's...
Another one of my rules that I've learned is, you know, you're always scared about getting a question you don't have the answer for.
Right.
You don't have to answer the question that you're asked.
That is true.
Now you do, most of the time
it's annoying for the host, but
well, it's annoying, but if you don't answer any of the questions you're asked, then that is really annoying, right?
Yeah.
Now, if there's something that you're really not sure, don't say, well, I can't answer that. Just answer something that that you feel passionate about, or that is close to the topic, or what you can speak to.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to worry about answering their specific question. If you don't know, or if you're unsure, you can just take the conversation in another direction, maybe, but a good direction, right?
And you can use a slight disclaimer to get to that if you want to. Yeah. Say, for instance, you say, I can't really speak to that, but here's where I want to go. Or I'm not sure, but here's what I can tell you. Mm-hmm. You know, this is those kinds of things. And you know, it's like I said, it's okay to say I don't know. Nobody is expected to know everything. But you know, and we've asked questions of people on the show where they don't know the answer. And
I've asked questions I didn't know the question.
Well, I mean,
right?
But yeah, and you know, everybody's human. Everybody's going to make a mistake here or there. But you know, as far as if you're asked a question and you honestly don't know the answer, then you can simply say, well, I'm not really sure, but let me delve in this direction to what I do know about this issue.
Yeah.
And then even if that answer completely misses what the original question was for, that at least shows your interviewer, okay, we're not going to move in that direction.
Exactly.
Because then now we're going to pivot, we're going to go someplace else. At least initially, unless of course you get then you won't find this necessarily here at FreightWaves, but if you get someone that's a reporter that is going to dig for information.
Well, if you're trying to hide something, that's a whole different story, right?
Thing. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to check that off, but we very rarely have that.
No,
never really.
Because we throw softballs with Inquisition. That's what we do.
True, because if you're hiding something, you're usually not knocking on a door to get on TV.
True.
We might be knocking on your door, but you're usually not accepting an invitation because
something happened that you don't want to talk about.
Exactly right. And and if you don't want to talk about it, you're not going to show up on TV.
No.
You're going to have
but that's by your
statement.
That's by your choice, and that you're going to send us you're going to send us a statement. That's going to be it.
And it will show up on FreightWaves.com. Sure. But that happens.
And then we'll have other people talk about it.
Exactly right. Yeah. We might come up with scenarios.
Yeah.
So sometimes maybe it's better to come on and do some stuff.
It's a judgment call, but yeah.
You know what? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about getting in front of the news cycle.
Okay. So if you're in a situation where you have, now we're talking from two different perspectives. Number one, let's say that you want to be on FreightWaves now, and you want to comment on something, then feel free, shoot me an email and say, hey, I can talk about this, or, you know, we got a big event coming up, or, you know, that there's, you know, say for instance, hey, the midterm elections are coming up. I'd like to talk about these particular races in regards to how this is going to affect the freight industry if so-and-so wins or so-and-so loses, that kind of thing. That's an excellent topic to throw at us. And that way you get literally in front of the news cycle in terms of, you know, you can come on the day before and talk about, hey, here's what to watch out for tomorrow, and then come on the day after and say, here's what happened, and here's what's going to happen as a result. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. So you can get, as a guest, you can get out in front of the news cycle that way. If you are the news story, then this is where you have an opportunity to get in front of whatever interpretation or speculation is out there that you can beat. You can say, hey, look, you know, come out, obviously do your due diligence beforehand, mm-hmm. because you want to say exactly what you want to say. But, you know, come out and say, look, here's what happened, or here's what the situation is. And then, we can go through an interview and you can say, all right, let's not talk about this particular thing over here. And this happens a lot. Say for you,
and this is where we do go back and forth with people, because there are certain things that, if there's something sensitive that you want to talk about that you could talk about, we might just not have you on.
Yeah.
But there are things that are sensitive sometimes that you just can't talk about.
Yeah.
And then that's fine, and we'll lay out the ground.
And you see that also in like some of like congressional hearings. You'll see people say, I will agree to go in front of Congress, but I will not talk about this.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It is fair enough. And it's fair enough for us to say yes or no.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's at least one way, at least in terms of, especially if you feel like you're in a situation where you have the right, you're in the right to do what you're doing, or be in the right in terms of your situation, and you want to clarify what's going on, or you want to say someone else has gotten the story wrong, and I want to clarify exactly what happened, then yeah, absolutely. You're well within your right to do that. You're well within your right to get out in front of the story. Otherwise, you're just allowing speculation to come at you from all sides.
Which is never a good thing.
Never a good thing, because then the truth is what is perceived, not necessarily what is real.
So let's bring this back to the sales a little bit, because it is a great medium to promote yourself, your company, your book of business, if you do it the right way. And we've been talking about doing it the right way. Now, once you've done an interview on a show, you can find that out there. If you want results, pick up that clip and use it in your own marketing.
Not only that, but take it to an incredible degree and just push it out there 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Obviously, if it's a great point, put it out there once every month. Or if it's something that's evergreen, put it out there once every month. But jump on top of that and say, all right, here's this clip that I did, watch it. Step 1. Step 2, a few weeks later. Here's this clip that I did, and if you want to know more, read this blog post where we expanded upon some of the things that we talked about in this particular clip. A couple other weeks passed by. Here's this clip that we did. Here's a podcast, a 45-minute podcast that we did on this particular clip, goes deep dive into this particular idea. And now you've taken that one clip and you've thrown it out there 3 times. You can throw it out there another 3 to the third, 27 times over the course of the next year. And you've put that content out basically because you've been on the air for 8 minutes with us. And then all of a sudden you take that and you can turn that into, whatever you want to after that. It's not simply the fact that, hey, you've done this. Yes, this is good that you've put together this clip and you've got it out there, and that's a great piece of social media, but take it and then multiply it and see what those 8 minutes can do for you, because then the more people see you, then the more guest spots you probably get on not only on our shows, but on perhaps other podcasts. And you put those other things out. You put out your own podcast, your own social media, and all of a sudden, again, we're talking about things that multiply over time. So that's the strategy that you need to use with something like this, because just because you were on for 8 minutes and you leave it there and it doesn't do anything, congratulations, you have not moved a needle anywhere.
And it's all about being authentic.
Yes.
That's, I wish I'd said authentic earlier.
Yeah.
But it really is. It's about being authentic. And the more authentic you are, the more compelling it is, more engaging you are, and the better results you'll see.
And that goes back to what I was talking about, BS detectors, because like I said, they're so sensitive at this particular point when you have, if you just even so much as come off to say, and we do this, when we can do this for you, all of a sudden you've lost all credibility. And it's like, wow, this is a sales pitch. Was I getting sold? And
you kind of want to build up curiosity about what you do, just because people want to know more about you.
And that's not only that, but it's your point
you want to drive people to your website. You want to drive people to be interested and curious. But if you verbally vomit everything you do in a very salesy, corporate vernacular on your introduction for 3 or 4 minutes, no one's ever going to see the other 3 or 4 minutes because they're tuned out.
And it goes back to, it goes back to, and not only on that idea of being an expert, but it's on that idea of tell me what I don't know. And that is, tell me a personal story. That's something that is, intrinsic. Like you talk about with Dooner, when we, and on What the Truck, and you put out content where they're talking about little pieces of themselves, and they are giving a little bit more about them. And it's not so much about the product or service that they're looking to sell. It's about, hey, here's who I am. Here's this unique experience I had. I want to talk about it. And not that it's all about you, but at the same time, you're trying to give a little bit more of who you are. And nobody wants to be sold by a robot, and everybody wants to have a human connection to who they're talking to. So that just makes you more believable, like you said, more authentic, and gives you a better chance of coming across, like I said, if you talk to one person when you're in this chair or you're in, the guest chair somewhere, if you're talking to one person, everybody thinks they're talking to them. And if you can make that one connection, chances are you've made hundreds, if not thousands of connections, depending on your audience. Exponential.
It is. It really is exponential. Wrapping it back into, how do you get on FreightWaves TV? It is being authentic, short, real concise, quick. Brief.
Real quick, yeah.
Punchy.
Email me.
We don't
what
need
do you
the
want
details.
To talk about? Give me some idea of what it is that gives that is your expertise, and what you're good at talking about. And let's see where it goes. And like I said, if you can offer something that a different perspective on something, or if you can offer a unique perspective on something, or if you can offer a perspective on an event, we're living in unprecedented times right now, as far as the freight markets are concerned. So if you've got a good idea, we're willing to hear it. And so that's all about it. And let's come across, let's talk about it, let's develop solutions, because nobody really knows what they're doing concretely right now.
That they don't.
No.
Everyone's looking for advice. You can be the one that gives the market advice.
This is a great opportunity to be on
And that's
air.
how you add value.
Yeah.
You add value by giving out information that is actionable, helps other people out. And if you do that...
Yeah. It's very simple, yeah.
It's kind of like a loss leader almost, right? You're not making money off your advice, but you're driving traffic to whatever the paid service.
And of course,
right?
when you talk about sales, you're talking about, especially now in the digital age, when it takes so many different touches to get to a person. This is just one of those touches, and it's easy, and it's one that allows you to be yourself in front of your audience.
It does. And the more times you're on TV, the more, certainly the more credibility you have, right? Because someone puts you on TV, So it's credibility. But it's also, I want to say, intimacy, right? People know you,
and
right?
And that's through your own behavior. Because if you tell people, like, this is my story, this is who I am, I'm being authentic, I'm talking to you, and I have that one person in mind, guess what? That one person is the entire audience, or most of it.
It is the entire audience, and once you get into a sales meeting with that audience, they know who you are. They know your story.
I mean, you
don't have to start from the ground.
I remember I was working at a TV station here in town before I got here, and we had through an unfortunate set of circumstances, the guy that I used to grow up watching doing the sports report was at another station. He unfortunately got let go, and he became part of our station across town. And I remember watching this guy when I was 9, and he became part of, and like, I know him so well. And like but I mean, at the same time, he has no clue who I am.
Of course.
But I have that connection with him. I can't believe that this guy is actually working in our building, because I'm so enamored of him. And he's a great guy, wonderful guy. But yeah, that connection is exactly made through being authentic and giving to the people value that they need in order that they can succeed in whatever area they're trying to overcome.
If you think about it, prospecting, getting in front of someone, booking a meeting, explaining who you are is such a huge part of the sales process. Such a difficult, if you can leapfrog that over that, or most of that. By just having people know who you are.
Even your introduction is, hey, here's who I am. Look at this clip. This is what I can bring to the equation. Just, and not even a sales pitch or anything. Just, hey, here's who I am.
Here's some good information for you.
Absolutely.
And whatever medium that you do that, it works. Whether it's print, video, podcasting. So my encouragement to everybody is go out and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go out and do it because it does work. It is exponential.
Yeah,
you get exponential like said, results because that one person isn't one person. It is a lot of people.
Yeah, it's your audience, and you obviously want to make sure you're on shows or you're on podcasts that are hitting that particular audience that you want, at least from a sales perspective. But yeah, it's like I said, it takes one clip, and all of a sudden you can turn that into 9 different things, put it on 9 different social media platforms, put it out in different formats, and all of a sudden one piece of social media turns into 10, 15, and then a second piece of social media can exponentially increase that to 20, 25, 30, and then you're off and running at that point.
And it does. It does. Bill, thanks for coming in.
Hey, it's fun.
And for our audience, if you want to be on FreightWaves TV, if you want to be a podcast, if you want to be a guest, how do they get a hold of you?
All right, we'll throw it out there. I'm not sure the email address is going to come up on the screen, but it's B Priestley. You can see the B in the last name there. Spell it E-Y, please, E-Y. That's the most misspelled last name I've ever seen. My dad's yearbook photo, his senior year of college, they misspelled his name. They've misspelled my name many ways. My wife hates the fact that it's misspelled, but it's L-E-Y on the end, bpriestley@freightwaves.com.
And to reach me, khill@freightwaves.com.
Yours is much easier.
It is much easier, and you can message me on LinkedIn as well. Sometimes that's easier to do. So, Bill Priestley, producer extraordinaire, thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate it, man.
You bet. And until the next week, Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, put that coffee down.
I got friends only wanna talk business. I got expensive, cause winning's expensive. I got expensive, cause winning's expensive. I've been reading all the war, and I've been shutting down the stars.